Gen Z and millennials struggle to buy homes. This is always interesting to me because they've been saying this forever, like forever. And I think they're going to just continue to say it. If they can get you to feel like you can never buy a home, you're going to feel desperate. You're not going to make the right choices with your money, flowing money through the system out of your hands into other people's hands. And the money just keeps flowing, right? But it's not building your wealth. It's not going towards your future. This is very, typical of news, making you feel desperate, right? So let's see what's going on, what they're saying. And also that mortgage rates are
how do we make, and this has been a big question, how do we make home ownership possible for the next generation? Because it hasn't been that way.
I don't think it's been that way for the last generation, to be honest with you.
Which again, is what I'm saying. It's like, if that were accurate, then how did I buy this? And also, how did I get the last house? Like, how did this is my fourth house I've bought. This is where I'm like, I don't understand. And also the reason, my first house I bought in 2017, it was in California, right? Which a lot of people are like, you owned a house in California? Yeah, I bought 2 houses in California, actually. And it's like, how? California is so expensive. Well, not if you buy in the not expensive areas. Not if you make concessions with yourself, right? If you're like, okay, you know what? I can't afford to live in Los Angeles, but I can afford over in this area, which means I also have to drive a lot further, like just different things like that. Okay, instead of living closer, I have to drive further. Am I willing to make that compromise? Yes or no? I said yes. I was able to afford a house all of a sudden. And then that house went up in value, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And because I got one, I've been able to just get more. You sell one, you have more money. You go and you get another one. Okay, you live in that for a while. You know, just all of that. This is where I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. There's nothing saying that you have to live where you are right now in order, like, okay, well, I have to, if I'm going to buy a house, it has to be right here. But if you don't make enough to be able to afford where you live, then you need to figure out what is more important to you. These are the things that they don't talk about that I think are really important, where it's like, I would still be a renter living in the city and I'd probably never be able to buy a house. I've never had so much money in my life than after I sold a house. Housing, being able to buy a house got me that, right? Housing got me that. A wage did not get me that. A wage will never get me that, right? That's not going to happen. I don't have some tech job that pays multi 6 figures. So for regular people like me, you have to do things differently.
Home prices are alarmingly high today, but literally pull a tape of me and you talking about this 15 years ago, right? I probably said the same thing then.
That's an important statement right there. I met this retired person who worked in real estate, owns a lot of buildings, and I was talking to him about real estate, and he said that he never bought a piece of property that he thought wasn't too expensive. Meaning every single property that he bought, he thought was expensive at the time of buying. But he said every single time it's went up. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That's really wild. And this is a retired person, somebody that's decades older than me. So take that wisdom. And this guy just said the same thing, basically. If you look at old videos of me, I probably said things were too expensive. And yet they're more expensive now. There's a lesson there.
Wages and salaries aren't keeping pace with the cost of homes. And we had this crazy period of low interest rates, which inflated the bubble even worse. So I personally don't think what's happening right now is a bad thing. Sure, if you're a realtor and you want to sell homes because that's how you make a living, things are bad. If you're a home builder and you're not selling as many homes, that's not a good thing, although home building stocks say otherwise. But
and recently it just came out that Warren Buffett just invested in D.R. Horton and Lennar a few days ago, a week ago maybe. That's very interesting because right? Warren Buffett, greatest investor of our time. What does that say what he thinks is going to happen with home building? That is super interesting. I know that where I'm at, all right, I'm currently in Southwest Florida, which is very interesting because this is potentially, this and like Austin, Texas, potentially ground zero for home prices dropping. Home prices are down like nearly 40% around here. It's crazy, right? Crazy. Like from the peak, from 2022, 2021, 2022. A major thing that I notice around here that I never saw when I lived in California is the amount of building going on around here. I don't understand it. I fully don't understand it. It blows my mind. I don't get it. I'm like, why? How are you guys building so much? You haven't even sold these houses. You haven't even filled these houses. Like, people aren't living in these houses, yet we're building more. Why? Where that just wouldn't happen in California. The regulations on building in California are way too, it's too restrictive. It's among the reasons why housing is so unaffordable in places like California, because it's so impossible to build there. But here, it's like the exact opposite. It's incredibly easy to build. People are throwing up so much that the new home builds, in my opinion, are really shoddy. There's a ton of information and videos and testimonials and people, like even just talking to locals around here, whether it's service workers that are coming to the house to work on the house or do different things, make different repairs, whatever, where I talk to people and it's like, do not buy a new build. They're not built well. They're not built well. When we bought this house, we considered new builds, and there's reasons that are very enticing to consider a new build, such as your insurance rates are incredibly lower. Like, they are a fraction of what they are compared to an older house. An older house in Florida, like this is a 90s house. This is an old house in Florida. Old. A 30-year-old house compared to a new build where our homeowner's insurance would be at least half of what we pay, if not more. For some reason, even though those new builds are not built as well, there are a ton of new builds. 4 houses just went up on my street alone within the past 6 months. A lot of them are rented, including one literally across the street from my house. And the people that moved into them will straight up tell you the house has problems. I don't know. It's wild. It's crazy. But yeah, what does this say that Warren Buffett is investing in D.R. Horton and Lennar, 2 major home builders in America? What does that say to what he thinks is going to happen with home building and home prices and all of that?
I think the real challenge is trying to get the prices right for people's level of income.
And for first-time home buyers who have just been priced out, we've got to do something about that.
Yeah, we need more supply of housing. I mean, we need, in my view, we need fiscal policy that creates incentives for builders to build, take more risk, buy more land, build more homes. Yeah. That will drive the prices down.
Very good.
Okay, and again, this also depends on what state you're in. Where I'm at right here in Florida, this has been happening for the past 2 years, easily the past 2 years, if not slightly longer than that. Housing prices have been coming down. We're just starting to see that happen in all the other states, right? Many other states. The Northeast is still pretty strong, but again, it's starting to happen across the country. It's starting to spread where many other states, the supply is starting to go higher. More houses are coming online. Where in Florida here and in a few other states, Arizona, Texas, the inventory has been going crazy, that now people are listing their homes, and if it doesn't sell in 6 months, 9 months, a year, they're starting to pull their listings because the prices here have been dropping. Again, 30, 40% from the peak. There are people that need to sell their home, so they have to take a haircut, and there are people that don't. And the people that don't have the luxury of, you know what, I'm not getting my price, I'm going to pull from the market. That type of thing has not hit everywhere in the country yet. It's starting to. I think it's just starting to happen. And again, this is where real estate is local. If you live, like, say, in New Jersey, where I'm from, you're probably seeing home prices still at peak, still really high, still lots of competition, still low inventory, or maybe things are just starting to crest over.
Good. All right, next one for you. A new report claims that more than 50% of homes sold in May went for less than their asking price. A typical close came in about $5,000 lower than the original listing. Is that a trend that continues, that prices are coming down?
Actual prices of closed transactions are going up.
Oh.
The difference between asking price and closing price is sort of deteriorating because there has been this major push for people to put their houses on the market. They're getting...
That continues, that prices are coming down?
Actual prices of closed transactions are going up.
Oh.
Actual prices of closed transactions are going up. I'm trying to just dissect what this guy is saying because I feel like he's saying... What he's saying is confusing. Actual prices of closed homes are going up.
The difference between asking price and closing price is sort of deteriorating because there has been this...
So is he saying that people are just asking for too much money? Sellers are pricing too high? He's saying sellers are pricing too high.
Major push for people to put their houses on the market. They're getting bombarded. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get about my home in Florida from realtors. List your home, list your home. I have no plans to list it. But realtors, as I said earlier, in order to make a living, need listings. So they're convincing people to list their homes. And the way they get that listing, I'm sure I'll get hate mail for this, but the way they get the listing is to convince people that they could sell it for X. And then they have it on the market. It sits there. And they end up lowering the price. If they are legitimate sellers, they end up lowering the price to sell it.
So that's just shitty realtors. Quite obviously, that's shitty realtors. It does a realtor no good to price a house incorrectly and just have it sit there. Realtors don't make money unless there's a sale.
Question is a buyer's or seller's market?
It's absolutely a buyer's market.
Okay.
Absolutely a buyer's market. The power...
Which is interesting because they're saying it's a buyer's market, yet the rates they're also saying, but you can't afford it because interest rates are so high and your income hasn't tracked with the inflation and interest rates. So it's like... But yet it's a buyer's market. The reason why they're saying it's a buyer's market is because there's more inventory than in the past 5 years, right? This is the most inventory that we've had so far than we've had in the last 5 years, since before the pandemic. And many sellers are desperate to get out. They don't want their house to sit on the market for 3 months. They don't want their house to sit on the market for 6 months, right? If it's in Florida. They don't want their house sitting like that. So in order to move it, they have to make concessions. They have to lower the price. They need to pay for closing costs. They need, right? Just different things like that. They need to negotiate, where 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was no negotiating with sellers. There was, I want this price, or I'm going to get the person next in line after you because there's a few people after you who are giving me offers. But if you can afford it, if you can find a house that you can afford, you can negotiate and you can get a good deal now. Your interest rate's going to be higher than it would have been 3, 4 years ago, but don't worry about, the thing is to not wish like, oh, I wish that I got in when it was 2% or 3% or even 4%. It's like, no. What can you do right now? What can you afford? I just don't think that there's ever a bad time to buy a house. Like, if you can afford it, just buy a house. And then when you can afford it again, buy another one.
But when I was on last week or the week before and existing home sales came out, the price ticked up again to a new all-time high of home prices.
Mortgage rates, which are critical to all of this discussion, just fell to the lowest level since last October.
6.6.
That has got to help, if nothing else, just to refinance.
It's not that much.
Yes, and that is the thing that needs to break this logjam. There's so many people on the sidelines that are would-be buyers that aren't jumping in because they say, and I hear it from them all the time, I'm going to wait for rates to come down. And I say, if you really need the house because you want to get the house to get your kids into school for the school season, buy the house. You can refinance in 9 months. The problem is the cost of financing.
They've been saying that for the past 2 years, though.
Points and all that makes refinancing not as attractive as it used to be.
It takes a while to recoup the costs that it took to refinance, right? And that's a big consideration.
Or just the full body cavity search that lenders do that is painful. People don't want to go through that again.
I don't want that image either.
So, it's still before lunch, so I could.
Okay. Barely.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think that the mortgage rates, mortgages, they dropped rates last year and mortgages are still in the same place that they were, right? Because dropping rates, the mortgage interest rates don't track with the Fed dropping rates, right? It's not how mortgage rates work. And I don't know, again, because we lowered last year. I bought this house last year and I got a pretty good deal in terms of rates. My rate is lower than this 6.5. So there are different things that you can do. You can buy down rates, which new home builders do very aggressively right now, like really aggressively. That's another thing that's enticing about buying a new house, is that home builders can manipulate rates more than a mortgage lender on an existing house like this one. But again, you could buy down. There are things that you can do to help a little bit, right? You're not going to get 2%. Like, it's not going to happen. But I think that even if rates drop, there may be a tick up in activity in terms of houses that go pending, right? That go under contract. And eventually also house sales. But I don't know how crazy that's going to be. Let's check this out. This is where I used to live. Let's just see what we got. Okay, let's just see this as an example. This house is $250, right? In California, in an area that I used to live in. Oh, you can even see that here prices are dropping. Wow. Oh, they were trying to rent it. Wow, $1,200. When was the last time it sold? It sold in 2009 for 30 grand. Wow. So they're making money no matter what. These guys are lucky because they have a ton of room, because they bought for 30 grand. Not everybody has that luxury. Okay, but this isn't what I want to see. What I want to see is this 30-year fixed at 6.58%, 20% down. So you need 50 grand. And your mortgage is $1,600. This is assuming this is what your homeowner's insurance is, and this is what your property tax is. Again, this is an assumption, so this could be higher. Absolutely could be higher. So $1,600. So here's what we're going to do. If it drops to, let's say, 5.99, you're only dropping $75 a month. $75 a month. I'm not saying that's nothing, that adds up, but that's not that much money. People can find an extra $75 a month by doing Uber for a day or two, or doing DoorDash for a day or two. That's not that big of a deal. This is why I think dropping the interest rates to 6 is not going to make as big of a difference as they're making out. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Now let's raise this back to 6.58. And we're back up to this 1,600. Let's take this sale price. We lower it 12 grand. All of a sudden, we're at the same place just by lowering the price 12 grand. That also lowers how much you got to bring to the table. This is a much bigger lever than the interest rates.